So I was asked to answer a question, and the question is, what is the point of practice? And my answer is, I don't know. What is it that you want? And that really becomes the critical part. What is it you want? Why would you want to learn meditation? Why do you think that going to monasteries and training in what we call Dhamma is going to be useful for you? But you have to know that. When I first disrobed, having been a monk for a short time, I met two people, and I was there with my Western clothes, my shaven head, and we began to speak, and they asked me what I'd been doing, and of course I explained. And they looked at me for a moment and they said, "Oh, well, does everyone have to meditate?" And again, the question is, well, I don't know. What is it that you want? The reason that we use our meditation and our practice is not to get something, but it is to see something. It is to see the nature of the mind, the architect of your life. However you may think, and whatever excuses and justifications you may make for your bad behavior, no one is ever making you do anything. This idea of you made me do this, you made me angry, it's a convenient way to speak, but it's not true. It's just not true. But you have to understand that at the intuitive level, not just as some intellectual thing or something that you read in a book. You have to know it for yourself for it to have real effect in your life. Otherwise, when things do not work out the way you want them to, then you just fall back into your old habit of, well, it's not my fault, you made me do this, etc., etc. So the reason to train is to see the mind, is to know the mind intuitively, not know about it, not to study it from an intellectual perspective, but to know it, to see your old karmic habits, your natural karmic dispositions towards this or towards that, to recognize again, always intuitively, but to recognize that there is a oneness certainly in existence, in the universe. There's a oneness. We are all the same. We all are all like each other. We want to be happy. We don't want to be unhappy. We want to feel secure. We don't want to feel insecure. We want to feel comfortable. We don't want to feel uncomfortable and in pain in life. And once intuitively you know that, then how you live in the world spontaneously changes. Of course it does. And so without any effort then, your behavior is different. Compassion is not something you have to think about. Love is not something you have to think about. And your life becomes a blessing. First of all for you, but then for all the beings that you share this short lifespan with. In our usual life, when things get boring for us, or they become so familiar that they're not interesting anymore, then we give up and go to the next thing. Our whole modern 21st century culture, our global culture, is about that. It's about short moments of interest in something, and then moving to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And of course this never ends. This is the first noble truth, that everything we meet has the quality of being ultimately unsatisfactory. So why should we practice? It's to recognize that and to go past it, to no longer be a victim to this mind that's always seeking the next thing. One of the qualities that comes out of our simple practice of love and awareness is the ability to go past the places in our life where we usually stop, where we usually throw up our hands and say, I give up, I'm looking for the next thing now, the next smartphone, the next tablet, the next relationship, the next job, the next piece of money, the next car, the next thing. Life is always about the next thing. Happiness is perceived as a goal in the future. It's always over there somewhere. And even in our Dharma life, we can have a similar relationship where we come to our practice and we say, well, I'm doing this to become enlightened. An attitude like that will never be fulfilled, never. Because enlightenment, the Buddha said that someone who is not enlightened cannot recognize enlightenment or awakening in another being. So it just becomes another fantasy in the mind. So in the end, it's like walking to the horizon. You never ever arrive because you've created some kind of fantasy that does not match the reality of awakening. Awakening isn't the getting of something. It's the putting down of everything. So you're no longer deluded by what this mind presents as reality or as important or as significant. And so the heart opens, the face smiles. There's this freedom and liberation in life. So we practice to go past the places in our life where we usually stop, where we usually give up. And then we continue and continue until there's no goal left in our practice at all. We're just doing it. We're just living with love. We're just living with awareness. We're just taking care of our place on the planet for no reason. We're not looking for a pat on the back. We're not looking for something to wear around our neck to show that we are Dharma people or meditators or whatever else. And we're not looking anymore for that quick fix. And this is something really important. We live in this instant society, instant tea, instant coffee, well, instant enlightenment. Wouldn't that be nice too? But that's not really how it works, because enlightenment, the awakening, is not when we get something. It's when we put everything down until all that's left is the smile on the face as the heart manifests into our life. So I offer this morning for your consideration and your reflection. And may you all be well and happy. Thank you.